Hi, Lori here with Chapter 6, Starting Your Own Business. We're going to start off with what makes an entrepreneur. And I've made my own list. It's very similar to the one in the book, but not identical. I think the very first thing you need to be is driven. You need to believe in your product and believe in your service or whatever it is you're going to offer, and then you need to go for it. You also need to be persuasive. If you can't persuade others that your idea is great, you're not going to get very far. Finally, you need to be, third, you need to be flexible. You're not going to be able to anticipate all of the curveballs that are going to be thrown your way as an entrepreneur, and you need to be able to handle that and change up the plan as needed. You also need to be risk tolerant. Life as an entrepreneur is filled with risk, and if that makes you uncomfortable, don't choose this path. As the book points out, you need to be self-reliant. They call it self-nurturing and self-directed. Either way, you need to be able to rely on yourself. And finally, I think you need to be action-oriented, and so does the book. You can't think about or talk about a great idea. You need to go out and make it happen. There are 3 types of entrepreneurs that the book talks about, and the first is a regular entrepreneur like I am, and you can be solo all by yourself, or you can be part of a team. I'm part of a team here at Iroquois. I highly recommend that. That's a lot more fun. Even in the bad times, you have somebody to commiserate with. Micropreneurs, they believe small is okay, and often they have a social agenda going on, or they just want to provide a little additional income and a lot more satisfaction in their lives, so they're not looking to get big, they're just looking to enjoy the experience. And then finally, entrepreneurs. These are a very interesting group of people. I worked with some when I was at Procter & Gamble. They're embedded in big companies, but they're entrepreneurial in mindset, and they're often working for large multinationals, looking for opportunities in the market and trying to exploit those as though they were a small business, even though they're part of a large business. One of the advantages of being an entrepreneur is that large companies have huge resources that you can call upon, so you don't even need to look for angel investors or marketing and legal support. That's all standing by waiting for you. The next thing I want to highlight from the book is what makes a great business, a good startup. And the very first thing you need is your idea. Very important. If the idea isn't any good, it's going to be a little hard to make the business a success. Underneath that, you need sound management skills, and you need workers who are committed to the project or to the business and who want to see it succeed as much as you do. You are also going to need, from the inside, some accounting and finance help. It's important to be able to keep the record straight and know whether you're bringing in more money than you're sending out. Very important to make sure that happens. And finally, you need sales and marketing support, because if we can't sell our product, then we probably can't make a go of the business. On the outside, which is this bottom group, you're going to need a great accountant. Good news, Bonaventure graduates, lots of them every year, and I highly recommend using a CPA. I myself do. Second, you're going to need to have a great lawyer, and one that's familiar with working with small business, because of course that's a specialty. You're also going to want to have a banker or an investor, because you're going to need the financing to start up. I highly recommend a banker over an investor if at all possible, because a banker allows you to pay them back with money, whereas the investor takes stock, and if you get to be big, they get a big payoff and you've already given up part of your company. And then finally, over here, you need the insurance person, and they will help you make sure that all of your assets are properly covered, and in case of a loss, you're able to pay back the investors or the bank. So that's what you need to start a business. As far as outside investors go, one option is to go with venture capitalists. They will, of course, take a large portion of the stock of your firm, and they usually need to see the company pretty well developed before they will give you money. Angel investors, a little bit different story. They're usually individuals interested in helping you start up. Some of them will want a piece of the company. Actually, probably most of them will want, but they might not want quite as much as a venture capitalist wants. The business plan is a very important part of starting a business. It's outlined on pages 165 to 166 in the book. It's a little hard to talk about what goes into a business plan until you're actually doing it, and then you realize, oh my gosh, it's going to be a big document. But in the end, you've got to make the pitch, you've got to make the sale on the idea of the company, the ability of management to make it happen, and the needs of the customers that you're going to satisfy. And that all happens right up front in the executive summary. So in the end, that will be the most important part of the business plan when you're putting it together. All right, let's talk about jobs, something near and dear to your heart. this side. Forget about that all the time. Did you know that small business accounts for 50% of our GDP? So that's about $7.5 trillion. I know you know that number because we've already done that in this class. They also account for 50% of private sector jobs and up to 80% of first jobs. So my Bonagrads, I want you to think about small business as a place to go after you graduate from St. Bonaventure. Finally, let's talk about global business. Small business, it's a little tougher to take it global because you don't have the resources of a big company, but many, many more small businesses are going global, and they're doing so with the help of government agencies, and there are a lot of specialists in the area that you can call on. Finally, let's take a moment to talk about how you can become an entrepreneur. The very first thing I would stress is that your success or failure is going to rely not only on your growth, but also on your ability to do so profitably. If you sell a lot of widgets, but you lose money on every single one, it's not going to be a successful business. Also, it's a really good idea to practice with other people's money. It's called OPM, other people's money, before you practice with your own money. So getting a job in the field where you think you might want to start your own business is a great idea. Sometimes that business will actually come up for sale and you can go ahead and buy it and you'll already have a business started. One of the best ways to do that is to do a leveraged buyout. It's called an LBO, and that's how we did all of Iroquois. And the idea is that you have a small upfront investment, but most of the payment to the prior owner is provided either by the banks or in payments over time. Either way, you use the profits of the business you just bought to help you pay for the business itself. The final hint I will give you on starting a business is to know what you're good at and do that, and either hire or outsource the rest. And now I'm going to direct you to the Business Can Be a Blast page for that freebie point on the content quiz. There's a website there. I want you to read just a quick interview with one of my favorite entrepreneurs, the fellow who is in charge of Virgin Airlines and many other businesses. And there's going to be a question on the quiz related to what he says customers need in order to be satisfied. If you can answer that question on the quiz, you'll be all set. It's about halfway through the article, but the whole article is worth reading and it's pretty short. Thanks.